welcome back to the Nothin But Bricks Podcast. It's been a little bit over a year now, but it's good to be recording an episode again. So just to set things up, I have a few segments planned. So I have the Q&A segment, which I'll get into at the end of the episode. I have the LEGO news segment I'll be getting into, and a LEGO set review segment. So I'm pretty excited for this episode. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, share it with a friend, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm not permanently back or anything. This is just kind of like a check-in episode. I also won't be having guests on for a while still. I won't really be doing episodes for a while. This is just kind of a once-off kind of thing that I thought I'd do because I saw that it's been over a year since I posted something, so yeah, just have a few segments planned and we'll see what happens. Without further ado, hope you enjoyed the episode and see ya when I see ya. Okay, so this is the LEGO News segment. We are going to be taking a look at, first off, sets that are being retired by LEGO and getting my initial reaction and thoughts on specific sets that are being retired and if I think they should be retired or not. So first up, this is all on IGN.com. An article by IGN. I will leave it linked in the description so you can check it out for yourself if you want, so you can see what the sets look like, because obviously this is a podcast. But anyway, so yeah, the first one is LEGO Star Wars A New Hope Imperial Star Destroyer, and it is valued at $699.95. Wow. And it appears to be a UCS set from the look of it. It seems pretty detailed. And the box looks like one of those UCS box kind of sets. So yeah, I really like that they have Imperial Star Destroyers as sets in the first place. I think that's something I never really thought they'd do. I don't think it's to minifigure scale or anything. That would be insane if they did that. I don't think that would even be possible to do. It's kind of a shame, honestly, because it's just a really nice set and a really iconic ship that is a big part of the Star Wars trilogy, or the original trilogy. So yeah, it's going to be a shame to see that set retired. But moving on to the next set, we have the LEGO Star Wars Scout Trooper helmet, and it's set 75305. It's normally valued at about $50, but it's currently 20% off at $40. By the way, this is not a sponsored segment. I should have said that in the beginning. Anyways, it is a very nice set. I have it myself. I have yet to build it, but it is very cool. I do like the LEGO helmets line in general. I think that it's a very kind of unique and it's just a very cool kind of thing that LEGO has never really done before. So yeah, I'm excited to get building this set. I might even do a set review of that specific Scout Trooper helmet when it's built as an individual video, but that would be maybe a year down the line. I don't know the timeline, but I will definitely try to do set reviews in the future, just as a side tangent. But yeah, it's a shame that they're retiring that set, but I mean, I can see why if they're going in the direction of making more and more sets like it. Like, they're making all these different types of helmets, and they're making the Marvel Black Panther set. It's much, much bigger than any of the previous Star Wars helmets sets, and I think it's really cool. I don't have it myself, but like size comparison, it is massive, and so I think in order for them to do that, they do have to retire these sets, unfortunately. Moving on to the next set, we have LEGO Star Wars Imperial Probe Droid set 75306. Looking at this set, it does look very nice. Like I said, it's like one of those more kind of sculpture-esque display sets that LEGO's making more of now, and it is a very, very detailed set. It would also, I'd imagine, seem somewhat to real life scale, like if you had a prop Star Wars probe droid next to it, it would probably be a similar size. So it does look really cool. It's a shame to see these sets go, but the more of these sets that are retired, I'm not sure whether or not to think that means they're not going to continue in the direction of these sculptures. It's just dawning on me that could be what's happening, or they could be developing more and more on a much larger scale. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the value of this set is, it's normally valued at $60, but it is currently valued at $48 on Amazon. So moving on, we have a LEGO Disney Castle set 71040, valued at $350. That's a crazy price, but I mean, for people who are into Disney, the Disney Castle is pretty iconic. I myself would not have much interest in getting this set, but for people who want more Disney LEGO sets, I feel like this is a bit of a letdown that they'd retire such a... I know I keep saying the word iconic, but there are so many iconic sets here that are being taken off shelves. But yeah, it's just sad to see, because it's such an iconic set that Disney fans, it's like a must-have for LEGO fans that are also Disney fans. Maybe they're gonna come out with a refurbished version of the set, who knows. Moving on, we have LEGO Art Disney's Mickey Mouse set 31202. It cost $110.38 on Amazon. That's quite expensive, and it's one of those dot art paintings. I mean, you probably could have put that together from me saying LEGO Art, but yeah, it's another Disney set. I'm noticing a pattern here at this stage. They seem to be retiring a few Disney sets now. Again, I don't know if it's to make room for more Disney sets or to make room for more Star Wars and Marvel and DC sets, because those are the things that do the best in terms of sales, I'd imagine. Or city sets as well. Yeah, it is what it is. I guess the Disney LEGO theme seems to be not going great for them. I mean, I'm kind of indifferent about it, but sad for Disney fans, LEGO Disney fans, I guess. It is probably a shame for them. But moving on to this next one that I am quite upset about, and I just realized it is being retired, but it is the LEGO Ideas Friends Central Perk set number 21319. It is $56.79 on Amazon. And yeah, I'm pretty upset to see this set go. I mean, it might be on Bricklink and different things. Yeah, it's a pretty cool set, because there aren't many. There's only like 2 LEGO Friends sets. By LEGO Friends, I don't mean the theme, I mean the TV show Friends. Moving on to the next one, we have LEGO Ideas 123 Sesame Street, set number 21324. Again, it's another LEGO Ideas set. They seem to be retiring a lot of Ideas sets right now. They could have plans for releasing way more Ideas sets or changing the way it works. I have no idea. This is just speculation and a bit of a guessing game on my part. I'm also quite surprised that they're retiring this one as well, because this one, again, seems like a recent release, and they have specific head molds for Elmo and all the characters, so it's quite surprising to see them just kind of throw it to one side, but they could come out with more Sesame Street sets, who knows, or maybe a minifigures series of them, the little blind bags, I forget the name of them, apologies. Yeah, that set, the Sesame Street set, is currently valued at $115. $120 usually, but it's 4% off on Amazon if anyone wants to grab it before it's fully gone. The next one is the LEGO DC Batman 1989 Batwing, set number 76161, valued at $199.95 on Amazon. That's pretty disappointing, honestly, because they do a lot of Batman sets, and I've said this before on the podcast, but they just keep coming out with Batman vehicle after Batman vehicle, and like just random Batman vehicles, like Batmobile version 325, you know, like they have so many random Batman sets, but this one is like specific to a film, and it is such a cool set that it's just such wasted potential for them to, you know, retire it. But I guess it has been out a while. Like I've seen it around the place for a while now. Like in one of Forest Fire's brick films, I believe he modified it to look a bit thicker. I could be wrong with that information. He could have made a mock version. That is what he did. Like he did modify it into kind of a mock. It could be based off this set, but I don't know. But yeah, if you're looking for like what does this set look like, you could just picture Forest Fire's Lego Batman Batwing from his Batman brick film with all the Jokers coming out of the portals, or the portal, I should say. Moving on to the next set, I'm not very surprised that this set is getting retired, to be honest. It's a Lego Adidas Originals Superstar, the shoe, set number 10282, and it's currently valued at $80 on Amazon. So yeah, it's not too surprising that they'd retire this one. It's strange though, because it only really came out recently, so again, I don't understand why they retire sets that quickly. But because it is a shoe, it's more of a niche, I guess it's more of a niche kind of a thing for people, for Lego fans, and for, I guess, fans of sneakers or trainers or whatever you call them in your region. Yeah, I guess it's like you can't really wear them. They're just there for show. So I can see why that one's being retired. That's just my opinion, though. Please don't come at me in the comments. If you like the set, that's fine. That's your opinion. Yeah, and that's everything in that specific article. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is LEGO Masters Season 3 Episode 1. Just recently came out. I believe Will Arnett is the current host of the show. I personally have no opinion over LEGO Masters. I haven't seen it, so I can't really give my take on it. But I do know that Will Arnett he's a pretty charismatic kind of guy, so I'd say he'd be good at hosting a game show kind of thing. But yeah, maybe I'll do a podcast episode where I talk about LEGO Masters in a bit more in depth after I've actually seen it. But because this is a LEGO news segment, I felt it's probably important to mention that LEGO Masters Season 3 has now released. Moving on, one thing that isn't really in front of me here, but I'm just kind of going off the top of my head from like recent experiences of seeing things on social media, is the new Lego shop opened up here in Ireland. So that's pretty cool. I'll have to check it out someday and maybe do some kind of vlog or something like that, and let you know my thoughts on the whole thing, but it's the first official LEGO store to open up in Ireland, so that's pretty exciting. It's right in Dublin City. So yeah, I can't wait to check that out. That's just for, I guess, Irish brick filmers and LEGO enthusiasts, for any of you who are interested, but you've probably heard of it by now if you're in Ireland. So I look forward to getting to go to it and, have a look around. Not much more to say about that, really. Yeah, so that about does it for the LEGO news segment. Again, if you want to check the IGN article out, you can click the link in the description. In this segment, I will be reviewing the LEGO Speed Champions McLaren Elva set number 76902. Just a disclaimer that this is not sponsored by LEGO. I'm just a fan of the product and enjoy talking about it. So first things first, just a few facts about the set for those interested. It is valued at around $20. It comes with one minifigure and has a total of 263 pieces. And as you can see if you're watching the video version of this podcast, it's a very nice blue color with lovely white seats. It has a very unique shape made with very interesting building techniques that I've never seen used before, but I'll dive a bit deeper into that in a second. One small detail that I really love is the silver grey pieces that they use for the headlights. When the set is shown alongside the actual car it's based on, it really highlights that feature a whole lot more. It's a clever design that uses really unique pieces to do it, and that seems to be a common theme throughout the set, which we will also get into in a bit. I had my doubts about the Speed Champions line before and wasn't much of a fan, but in this set there's so much attention to detail that it blew my expectations of the Speed Champions line out of the water and made me an instant fan of the whole Speed Champions line. One critique that I do have about this set, however, is that the side mirrors are lacking in detail an awful lot, especially when compared to the rest of the build that's super sleek and unique, like I mentioned earlier. This seems to be an issue with a lot of LEGO cars in general. They tend to just have maybe one stud clipped in place as the side view mirrors. It is a shame and feels like wasted potential when you have such a nice, sleek design and you brush over something that could potentially change the quality of the build drastically. Luckily in this case, I don't think it did, but I can see that being an issue for future Speed Champions sets. But I will say that is my only issue with these kinds of sets. Apart from my one critique, I think this set is absolutely fantastic. Like I mentioned before, there's a very unique use of pieces and building techniques at play here, which is something that I really enjoy about the Speed Champions line in general, is just how different it feels to any other LEGO set. Because of these pieces that you rarely use in the majority of LEGO sets, suddenly being at the forefront of the whole build. It's really what, for me, sets the LEGO Speed Champions line apart from any of the other lines LEGO has out there right now. Going back to attention to detail though, I also really want to say how great the sticker placement is and how they just naturally blend in with the pieces around them so well. Unlike some sets in which you can very clearly tell that a sticker has been used, and that can really ruin the illusion of the build as well. Another thing that's quite incredible about this set and the LEGO Speed line as a whole is just how much bigger the cars can be compared to cars that you might get in a LEGO City, DC or Marvel set. This is obviously because the primary focus of the Speed sets is to make more detailed cars than what you'd find in a City, DC or Marvel set. LEGO truly aren't messing around with this theme and are clearly making sure that you can see as a consumer why buying a Speed Champion set is going to give you a much better car than in any City, DC or Marvel set, unless you're talking about the 1960s Batmobile set. That set is just beautiful. But even just the frames and car bodies in Speed sets in general are much bigger than any other set with a car in it. Overall, I'd give this set a solid 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed the building process of this set and seeing how it paid off with, again, such a sleek design is an incredible feeling. Okay, so welcome to the Q&A segment. I will be answering questions that you guys sent in. Well, mainly from Just Like Pat. Shout out Just Like Pat. So the first question is from Just Like Pat. He says, what's the next LEGO set and brick film you'll make if you had to guess? In terms of the next LEGO set I'd be making, I'm currently building the James Bond Aston Martin set, which is a pretty cool set. In terms of brick films though, I might just mess around getting back into it, like with doing a few tests, maybe lighting tests, get back into the groove of animating in general. It's a bit of a daunting thing to try and get back into because I don't know if I'm going to retain all the knowledge that I would have had prior to having to take a break from it. So I am looking forward to getting back into brick filming, but it's also quite daunting. Maybe a few test type things, like really short, like 3-second clip brick films would be a good start to kind of ease my way back into it. And then I'll just start doing the bigger projects, I guess, that I'm excited about. I've had the scripts ready for a while. They're just kind of sitting there, so I'm hoping to get those done at some point. Anyway, moving on to the next question. Also from Just Like Pat, we have, what's the best brick film you've watched recently? That is a good question. Just gonna preface this by saying it is the 20th of October as I'm recording this. It could be much later by the time I release this, depending on how long it takes to do all the segments and everything. But I don't know, Edbound's been putting out some pretty good stuff. He made a few Blender animations a few months ago that were pretty good. I've definitely seen more brick films since then. I'm just kind of drawing a bit of a blank. I mean, there are just like so many great brick films coming out. Like I really enjoy the Brick Film Day edits that come out once a month of like brick film highlights. They're really well edited as well, but it's just like so many different kinds of brick films are being made. Like some people are using actual bricks to build their characters rather than minifigures. I think that's really cool. I mean, I haven't actually watched any of those brick films, but I've seen clips from the Brick Film Day highlight reels, so I should definitely watch those videos. Yeah, I guess there are a few brick films that I'm kind of excited for, that I've seen teasers and things for, and I'm pretty excited for. Like, I can't wait for Linkin Pop 13's next installment in his DC series that he's doing at the moment. I think his fight scenes are just amazing. Like, from an animation standpoint, they're just awesome. But yeah, I always say this as well when asked a similar kind of question to this, but Fukushu by Chicken Studios is my favorite brick film. I think it just encapsulates a lot of what I look for in a brick film. A good story, good action sequences, good soundtrack. It's really good. I highly recommend everyone go watch that. Chicken Studios has also made the Lego Space series. I'm sure you're all aware of it. It is also very good. I guess I'll move on to the next question now. So the next question is from Just Like Pat again. It says, what's your favorite thing about living in Ireland? If you could move to another country, where would it be? So I guess to answer the first question, favorite thing about living in Ireland is... I was thinking about this the other day, actually. It's just the fact that you can literally go anywhere in the country within a day. You can actually go from, like, the north counties in the country to the south counties in the country within 6 to 9 hours. But that's just from personal experience, I guess, with traveling by car. It's really just pretty cool that you can just say, I'm going to go to the other side of the country today, and then just do that and be back at the end of the day. It is a long drive, but it's better than, I guess, like in America, if you're trying to get to the other side of the country, it would take several days to get there by car. And also just, I've been listening to the Blind Boy podcast recently, and he talks a lot about Irish folklore, and I just find it quite fascinating. Like, I remember being told stories in school when I was a kid about the River Shannon, which is a massive river that, like, the biggest river in the country, really, flows from the top of the country down to the bottom. It's got a lot of folklore kind of mythological kind of stories around it and how it was created, and it's all quite fascinating to hear these kinds of stories that are thousands of years old. But anyways, I hope that answers the question, and sorry for going off on a tangent there about folklore. But the next question: if you could move to another country, where would it be? Probably Scotland, honestly, because I have family members there. I've lived there before. I mean, I don't really remember any of it because I was maybe one when I lived there, and I lived there for maybe 2 years. So, like, I was pretty much just a baby when I was there. But I do enjoy seeing the family members that are over there and miss them a lot, so it would be cool to be a lot closer to them physically speaking. So yeah, Scotland would be pretty cool. But moving on to the next question, it's a bit of more of a serious kind of question, but I'm fine with answering any kind of question. If you want to leave, I forgot to say this before, but if you do want to leave any questions for future Q&As in the comments or in the Discord server or on Instagram, I post Instagram stories asking for questions, and then you can type them in. So yeah, you can go check me out on Instagram or Twitter or all the social medias to know when I'm looking for questions, and you can also just leave them in the comments and I'll keep a note of them for the next Q&A. But yeah, moving on to the next question, which is a bit of a heavy topic, but we'll get into it now, I suppose. It says, tips for mental health and getting through ME, which, for those of you who don't know, is the chronic illness that I'm currently suffering from. It's physical illness. It affects the mitochondria in your body and essentially the energy in your body. I'm not an expert on it or anything, and that's just it's kind of like an extreme flu, which is why you can probably hear it in my voice. Blocked sinuses. Your body just doesn't have enough energy to the point where you can't move your arms. Some days you can't move your arms, you can't move your legs, you can't think. So you're just kind of like lying there without any thoughts or movements. And that could go on for days, months, some people a lot longer. But I don't mean like your head is completely empty. It's just you're completely so brain fogged that it just becomes impossible to even think of the right words to say. You can probably hear it now, me trying to form a sentence, but yeah, it's pretty tough, if I'm being honest. It's not an easy illness to live with. But getting back to the question, just that was for context, but getting back to the question, tips for mental health and getting through ME without getting too bogged down. Honestly, just taking it a day at a time. I went on a different podcast talking about ME. It's called It's Not All About Me. That's the name of the podcast, or It's Not All About ME. You can check it out on SoundCloud or wherever you get your podcasts. But I listened to it on SoundCloud, so that's the first website that came to mind. I basically talked about it on that podcast as well, but just temporary acceptance is very helpful. So it's essentially taking it a day at a time and accepting that right now it's out of my control that I'm unwell, but it might not be like this forever. So keeping that hope alive, which is, don't get me wrong, very hard to do. Like, I think the past year have just definitely not been keeping that hope alive. But just learning to temporarily accept things is probably good, so that I can just focus on the day-to-day rather than worrying about what my future is going to look like, which is a scary thing with this illness because it's so unpredictable. But yeah, time will tell. But in terms of right now, I just know I have it right now. That's just how things are at the moment, and just accepting that at the moment is all I can really do. And all I can do really is hope that I improve. I do think it's an important thing to talk about the illness because it's very misunderstood. So I hope that was transparent enough for everyone listening. If you do want to learn more about the illness, I do encourage you to do your own research. Check it out on, various websites. Don't listen to the people saying it's a psychological illness. That is just complete lunacy, because it hurts the community of people who have this illness so much by people thinking that it's all in their head, when in actuality it can cause anxiety or depression for people because they have to live with an illness. Like if you have a broken leg, for example, that's not caused by mental illness. That's just you have a physical issue in your body, but it might get you down that you're having to stay in bed or rest. You can't walk on your 2 feet normally. It's very painful. It's hard to live with. It's just annoying to put up with. But it can, essentially, it is physical, but it can cause mental strain. But that's kind of not directly caused by the illness or broken leg in this scenario, but it is still there. Like you can have anxiety or depression, or anxiety and depression and ME at the same time. But that doesn't mean that the ME is all in your head. Like you can have cancer and the cancer can cause you to become depressed, but that doesn't mean that cancer is all in your head. So I feel like that's kind of where people that line becomes blurred for the majority of medical professionals. in this day and age when it comes to this illness. So people assume that what they've been taught is correct, that yes, this is psychological. But the ME specialists around the world are saying that it's physical. This is a LEGO podcast, so I'll try to keep it about that and brick filming and everything. I just do have all these thoughts on the illness politically. I guess they're not really political thoughts. If it's proven to be a physical illness, it's not really a political statement to say it's a physical illness. It's just ignorant of someone to say it's a psychological illness. So just wanted to get that out of the way. But I do encourage you to do your own research on the illness itself. MECFS, chronic fatigue syndrome is what it's also known as, or myalgic encephalomyelitis. But that'll about do it for the Q&A segment. Thank you to Just Sack Pat for all those great questions. Again, if you want to leave any questions in the comments or message me on Instagram, Twitter, Discord, whatever you want to do, whatever way you want to do it, send me any kind of question. It doesn't have to be related to LEGO, it can be about anything, and I'll answer it in the next Q&A. So yeah, I'll see you in the next segment of the podcast. Unless this is the last one, then I'll see you in the outro. Now, time for the outro of the episode. Just a few things I want to mention before closing out the podcast. You may remember from the previous episode that minifigs.me had a bit of an ad at the start of the podcast for their website. They sent me a couple minifigures to review, and I reviewed them on the podcast. Since then, they sent me another minifigure. It's a Daredevil minifigure. It's a very cool minifigure. So thank you so much to minifigs.me for sending it to me. I'm hoping to get a review of it out soon, so maybe keep an eye out for that. Like, subscribe, share this podcast with a friend, comment, and all that good stuff if you enjoyed it. I know the news segment might be a little outdated, by the way, just because I recorded it in September, so I apologize for that, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Follow me on all the social medias at The Met Enthusiast, except on Twitter it's at Met Enthusiast, because the Twitter handle only lets you fit so many characters, so I couldn't fit the. Thanks so much for listening and or watching. I really do appreciate it. I can't say when the next episode of this podcast will be out, but I do have a few topics that I want to touch on that I didn't get to in this episode. I thought I'd space them out because I think they'd be better as a separate episode. That's all from me for now. I'll see ya when I see ya.